Hi everybody, this is Jennifer and I'm going to show you how to make this woven single bead pendant. And I will put all my materials in the description below, and also all the tools that I use are also linked in the description below. So you can find that there. And please hit the like button, that lets me know you're enjoying my content, and it also helps my channel out a lot, and I really do appreciate the like. And also comment below, I would love to hear from you and hear what you're working on. Feel free to ask any questions. And if there's anything you want me to do a tutorial on, just put that in the comment section below. And if it's something I know how to do, I will make a video on that. So I hope you enjoy the video and just keep watching. Today I wanted to show you how to make a woven single bead pendant. And this is not my original design. This is something I learned how to make years and years ago. And it's been a really popular design, but they're easy and they're simple and fun to make. And they don't use a lot of materials, but they're a great beginner project. And you can use any wire weave you want, but I'm just going to show you a very, very simple basic weave. For materials, you're going to need an 8mm bead, or you could even use a 10mm bead. You just have to adjust your wire length and how long you weave. And I'm using an 8mm citrine bead. And then for the wire, I'm using 20 gauge wire, and this is by Parawire, and it's in champagne, and this is a nice light gold color, and I thought it would complement the citrine nicely. And then for the weaving wire, I'm going to use a 28 gauge for the weaving wire. You could also use 26, but I find 28 gauge is a little bit easier to work with than 26 gauge. I've taped my hands in the spots that get sore when I weave with this Nexcare tape. It's kind of a thick foamy tape, and it really protects your skin well. You can get this on your first aid aisle like at Walmart or CVS or somewhere, but you can also get it on Amazon, and I do have this linked below if you're interested in it. And I bought a nice big 6-pack of it because I use a lot of it. And to start, I've cut 3 pieces of 20 gauge wire, and they're approximately 6 inches each. And I've cut about an arm's length of 28 gauge wire for my weaving wire. And I found that to be a good length because it gives you plenty of room if you need or want to make extra rotations on your weave. So I'm going to start by getting my wires together. And I'm just going to get them to where they meet up at the end together, and I'm going to pinch them about 1.5 inches in. And I'm just going to separate them just a little bit. And I'm going to slide this wire in on top of the first wire like that. And then I'm going to hold it in place. And then I'm going to do 2 single wraps around just to attach our weaving wire to the base wire, and then I'm just going to press those wraps together just to keep it all nice and neat. And we'll trim this little tail at the end. And this is really a fairly simple weave. This is a very basic beginner weave. So now that we've got our weaving wire attached to the bottom wire, we're going to go straight up the back. We're going to go around the top wire one time. We're going to come up around, and we're going to come straight down the front and around the bottom wire. And we're not actually going to weave on the middle wire. It's just an extra piece of wire that's in there for decoration. And so we're going to repeat that, and we're going to go up the back, around the top wire. We're going to come up around the top wire, down the front, and go around the bottom wire. And then we're going to repeat that. We're going to go up the back, around the top wire, and we're going to come straight down the front of the wires and go around the bottom wire. And I'm just going to, one tip is to press these wraps together and make sure they're nice and straight, but you just gently press them with your nails. But now we're going to do 4 single wraps on the bottom wire. And my wires are twisting a little bit. And this is one full rotation right here. And I found for an 8mm bead, you need about 9 rotations typically. But if you want this to go up the bail part a little bit further, you can always extend the number of rotations. So now I'm going to do that again. I'm just going to separate my wires out since they're kind of crossing. And you want to keep a nice little bit of tension on your wire so your weave stays nice and tight, but you don't want to put so much tension on it that it will break. So I'm just going to go up the back, around the top wire. I'm going to go down the front and around the bottom wire. And then I'm going to do that again. I'm going to go up the back, around the top wire. I'm going to come up over the top wire, down the front, and around the bottom wire. And then I'm going to straight up the back, around the top wire, or straight down the front, and over the bottom wire. And then I'm just going to make sure these wraps are kind of pressed together and straight. And then I'm going to do my 4 single wraps on the bottom wire. And that will finish up the second rotation. And then I'm just going to gently compress and just make sure each rotation is pressed together, because you do want to have this little bit of separation in there for the design. And I'm going to do this again, so I'll show you one more time. And then we're going to add another step for the next one. So I'm going to go up the back, around the top wire, over the top wire, straight down the front, and around the bottom wire. And then straight up the back, around the top wire, over the top wire, straight down the front, and around the bottom wire. And now I'm going to do that one more time. So you're doing this part 3 times each. So straight up the back, around the top wire, over the top wire, straight down the front, and around the bottom wire. And then I'm just going to press these together like that, and just make sure they're nice and straight. And now I'm going to do my 4 wraps around the bottom wire. And if you need to periodically separate your wires, definitely do that, because they will twist around on you some. So I'm going to do my 4 single wraps. Okay, now for this part, we're going to do just something a little bit different, and this is a very important step. So we're going to go straight up the back, around the top wire, and now before we come around the top wire to come back down the front, we're going to put our finger right there. And we're going to wrap around our finger, and we're going to go straight down to the bottom wire, and around the bottom wire, and you're going to want to hold your finger there. Don't take it out yet, just hold it where it's at. And so now go straight up the back, around the top wire, over the top wire, straight down the front, and around the bottom wire. And we'll do that one more time. So straight up the back, around the top wire, over the top wire, straight down the front, and around the bottom wire, and then 4 single loops around the bottom wire. And now I'm going to take my finger out and I'm just going to pull this wire and just flatten it out like that. And I'm just going to press it down like that for the moment. And I'm just going to straighten these wraps up and press everything together. I'm going to do a total of 5 more rotations and then I will be back. Now I've done my 9 rotations, and for now I'm going to leave this piece of weaving wire on just in case I want to add or need to add a rotation to it. But I'm going to come back to the beginning of our piece. I'm going to lift this little piece up that we wrapped around our finger. I'm going to lift that up so I don't accidentally cut it. But this little tail that we started with, I'm going to go ahead and trim that off. And then I'm going to take my bent nose pliers where I trimmed that piece of wire off. And I'm going to use these just to kind of grab that end and twist it around. I'm going to pinch it all together. I'm just going to press and I'm just going to pinch it until it's smooth. And you just want to feel and make sure it feels smooth. And it feels smooth. Okay, so now I'm going to turn this back over to the front side. And I'm going to take this top wire right here and I'm going to bend it straight up. Just like that. And now I'm going to slide my bead on. And now we're going to start forming this around our bead. And you'll just have to take it slow and just bend it slowly. And when this meets up with this wire, I'll show you what to do. But you're just going to keep forming it as close as you can to the bead. And you're just going to want to hold that bead nice and tight. And just keep forming this around. And if it starts to bend like this, you can just take your pliers and press it flat. At the end, I always have to end up pressing areas flat. But I'm just going to keep bending this around and working it around slowly and gently. So now I'm just wanting to get this wire pressed down really close to the bead so I can wrap the bead with this other wire. And your wire weave will spread out a little bit, and that's normal. So now I'm going to come on the back of the piece, and this piece of wire that we wrapped around our finger, what we're going to do with that is we're going to take our pliers and we're just going to start wrapping it around this wire, and then wrap it up as close to the bead as you can get. And we're going to use all of this wire. And then when you get to the end, you just want to kind of roll your pliers around just to help press that piece of wire down and make it smooth. So now we're just going to continue on forming this around our bead. And you're just going to hold on tightly to your bead and gently work it around. And you want these two wires to be behind the woven part. But you're just going to keep bending it around like this. And you're still going to want to periodically press it. But just keep bending it. And this part right here does tend to make it want to twist up a little bit. I'm going to press my woven part down just a little bit to compress the weave back down. And I'm just going to keep bringing it around. And I'm going to pull these two wires in the back to get it to meet up like that. And then you can flatten this out. And you might need to flatten this out at the end anyway. I usually end up flattening it out. And my weaving, I think I'm happy where my wire is for the weave because it meets up to the beginning. So now I'm going to trim that weaving wire since I'm happy with where the weave is at. And then I'm just going to take my bent nose pliers and twist this around until I feel nothing sharp. So now what you want to do is place your thumb right here on your pendant, and you want to bend these wires straight up like that. If it pulled away from the end of this weave over here a little bit, then just kind of pull it around again, and then make sure you bend your wire straight up like this. So now we're going to take care of this piece of wire that we wrap to hold the bead on. We're going to trim that short like this. And you can use any round nose pliers that you have, but I'm going to use my fine tipped round nose pliers just because I want to have a little bit tighter loop. And you're just going to turn this all the way till it comes all the way in, so you can't see any of this wire or anything from the front. Like that. And then you just want to press that down. And you want to get it until this loop, you want to make sure it meets back up with this piece of wire. So this is where we are with our pendant so far. And so now we're going to make our bail. And you could do this using bail making pliers, or you could use a pencil or a pen. But I'm just going to use my finger. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to fold these wires over my finger like that. And you could make a long bail, you can make a short bail. I like them to be about this length. And now these two wires right here that are sticking out, we're going to bring these around our bail in the back like that. And then I'm going to trim them fairly short, but long enough that I can tuck them in behind these wires. So now I'm just going to take these two little wires that are sticking out with my bent nose pliers, and I'm just going to pull them and tuck them behind this bail. And I'm just trying to pull it fairly tight. And then I'm going to press it down. I see a little piece peeking out from behind here, so I'm just going to go in and I'm just going to trim off a little bit of that. And now I'm going to grab that wire and I'm going to press it down. So now I'm just going to press that wire down flat. And now I'm going to take this other wire behind here and I'm just going to press it back under there. So now I'm just grabbing that second wire and I'm just working it around. And I'm just going to press it behind the veil. Just like that. I just want to make sure these are pressed around very well. And then if you see any of your weave that is kind of poking out just a little bit, what I suggest doing is just taking your pliers and kind of get in between the frame and the outside and just gently press it in. And that will take care of that for you. So now what I want to do in the back is I want to separate these 3 wires. And I'm going to trim them short. But you want to leave enough length to where you can make a little loop with these. So now I'm going to take my round nose pliers, and this one on the outside over here, I'm going to turn this direction. And I'm just going to turn it back until it meets up with itself. And then I'm just going to take my pliers and I'm just going to kind of press that down into the bead. And now I'm going to take the wire in the middle and I'm going to twist it just like I did the other one until it meets back up with itself. Just like that. And you can kind of use your pliers just to kind of press down on it. And now I'm going to take this last wire and I'm going to grab it and I'm going to twist it the opposite direction. And I'm just going to make sure it's pressed nice and flat. And I'm just going to press it down towards the frame like that. And so this is what your back is going to end up looking like. So you've got your little twist here, and then you've got your 3 twists here. And this is what your front looks like. And then you can just put it on, I just use these waxed cords. But then you just put it on a wax cord or a necklace chain or whatever you use. And if you see any places that you want your frame to be a little bit more flat, just take your pliers and gently flatten them like that. And this is our finished pendant. So thank you for watching this tutorial. If you liked it, please hit the thumbs up button. That really helps me out a lot, and it lets me know you're enjoying my content, and it also lets YouTube know that you're enjoying my content. And please subscribe and hit the bell notification button so you'll be notified whenever I upload a new video. And all my materials that I use will be linked in the description below. And then all my tools will be linked in the description below, and they're all tools that I've tried and that I trust and that I use all the time. And also leave some comments down below. I'd love to interact with you and get to know you. If you have any questions for me, that feel free to ask. And if you have any requests for future video tutorials, please put it down in the comment section. And if it's something I know how to do, I will happily make a video for you. So I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you next time. Bye.